All right, welcome back to the Canadian Gun Vault Behind the Vault Door. My name is Mark Morelli. I'll be your podcast host for this episode. Really looking forward to bringing you guys some special guests coming up very shortly. Really looking forward to talking to Brian. I know you guys are ready for a good old-fashioned political rant. I think that Brian's got it coming in a big way. I haven't talked to him for a while, so I can only imagine how he's been stewing over all the things that I've been seeing that certainly don't make any sense at the parliamentary level. We've got we got Justin Trudeau now. I think that they're calling for some kind of special meeting regarding his having to give evidence. This should be interesting. I wonder how this thing's going to play out. I mean, it took us 2 years, I think, to get an answer from the Ethics Commission about something that seemed to be clearly wrong, and not a lot of straight answers. So I'm really wondering how this is all going to kind of spit out. It should be an interesting one. Politically, that's been going on. Looking at what we've got going on with the Canadian Gun Vault. Let's see. Definitely looking forward to working some special events with the good people over at Urban Tactical. We ran that Racing for Slips over there, which was really fantastic. It was New Year's Eve when we did it, and really didn't expect that many people to show up. But I mean, there was a great turnout. A lot of players showed up. Some faces I had never seen in person before, and that was exciting. And to spend a little time with these people on the firing line was fun. I really wish I could get around to everybody, and spend a little quality time with everybody like I'd like to. But it's really difficult to kind of maintain safety and to socialize at the same time. I really like the idea of everybody, managing themselves, but it's probably going to grow to the point where we're going to need some help very shortly. So I can't think of a much better place to start than Urban Tactical out in Brantford. They got some quality personnel up there. They got the definitely the facilities. Really looking forward to working with them in concert with them to bring you guys some really great special events. I'm really, really looking forward to having some fun out there on the line, and definitely showcasing some of the different things that you can experience. I would encourage you to tell a friend, bring somebody with you that's wanting to, perhaps be introduced to firearms. Love, right, to entertain some folks out there and to show them a good time. So that being said, I don't think it's going to stop there. I really like the idea of working with the various ranges all over Southern Ontario, and spending some time gathering the people together there. I think we've gotten away from it in the last few decades. But once upon a time, there were like clubs, and there still are. But I mean, you really don't hear much about them, and you wouldn't know that perhaps there's a day completely filled with infields at one range, or maybe there'll be vintage handguns at another. Metallic Silhouette is a big one. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with Pete Durant and discussing with him, exactly what Metallic Silhouette competition is and what's available to the modern shooter. Because I mean, it's big in the U.S. Here in Canada, it's been one of those little hidden secrets. Wonderful little secret that I think everybody should know about. If you have not tried Metallic Silhouette shooting, it's an absolute blast. I mean, the idea that you have these steel chickens, pigs, rams, you're shooting these little metallic silhouettes of these animals, and when you hit them, they go flying, and it's a lot of fun, to really focus and to slow down, and it's like the perfect round of golf or something. Like, I mean, it's a lot of fun. And at the same time, it's very much dependent upon your proficiency with the firearm that you're shooting and knowing where it hits at certain distances. It changes for every gun. But working those things out, either ahead of time and then just executing properly on the day of a competition when the pressure's on, it's a lot of fun, and yet it's very challenging. And I'm going to encourage everybody to try it at least once. I'm going to try and get everybody out to one of these events in the spring, so you guys can experience it. I would highly recommend that people come out for one of these. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's not the kind of thing that I think you would miss. To spend a little time, with the different members of the community, to kind of meet and get to know these people a little bit better, you might find that there's some fantastic friendships just waiting to happen. The firearm community is a very inviting one. Things have changed, and certainly the stereotypical, redneck shooter doesn't really exist the same way it once did. They stand out a little bit more. I'm seeing a lot of people in their mid 30s. I'm seeing some young people. I love the young couples. I've seen some young couples, in their mid 20s. They just love this, and it's very competitive, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a discipline, and it really does force people to be on their best behavior at all times. It really is indicative of the maturity level of the relationship, and that's something I've noticed. An increase. At the ranges is you're seeing a lot of boyfriend girlfriends out there, and I really find that exciting to see. That more and more couples would kind of clue in to this activity and would focus, on competing with one another and enjoying their time together. I love seeing the couples out there on the line. It's always, and I mean, I notice, couples that shoot together tend to stay together, and that's something that I've seen a lot of too, is, husbands and wives that will say that they've been together like 25 years and they're shooting together. I think it's a great indication of, one's maturity level in a relationship if you can kind of do that. Trust one another with guns. I think that there's probably a good chance that if you trust each other enough, around firearms, that, you might get along well. Too, enjoying the same things. And I've seen some wives, outshoot their husbands, and it can leave sore spots. It's not the kind of thing that you would want happening to you on a regular basis, but it does happen. And I took somebody shooting just the other day, young lady. Well, she would argue no, but the truth is that I got around the line, and it took a little work, but once she got the fundamentals down, she was impressing the hell out of me. And I thought, here's somebody that hasn't done any shooting, and yet within a half hour's time of working with her, she's popping balloons, with a hand pistol from the back of the room, and she's going the distance. She's sending that target all the way down to the very end of the track, and she's popping 6-inch balloons with a hand pistol, which is kind of cool at Urban Tactical. And found a way to really tap into a sense of achievement in that. I wanted to give her a big whack on the back and say good for you, but it's my buddy's wife, so I just kind of that looked at her, smiled, and said, yeah, you got it. It was really a lot of fun and very rewarding for me to see somebody that hadn't really spent any time shooting, who by at the end of a very short period of time, they're very pleased with themselves, and I like being part of that. And so, to get people out on the line, and which we're doing all the time anyway, and not only introducing them to shooting, but leaving people with, a great impression of what kind of fun could be had out there. And, a lot of things happen, I always like to ask people, okay, you get it. This is an unsafe activity if you abuse it in any way or forget that you're doing something that's very dangerous potentially. There's really only two rules. Point the gun that way, right? Pointing downrange. Point the gun that way and keep your finger off the trigger, okay, unless you're going to shoot the gun. And if you can stick to those two rules, everything else will be gravy, right? As long as you don't point the gun anywhere other than that direction and you keep your finger off the trigger, we'll be fine. And to see people kind of nod their heads and go, okay, it's so easy to twist a hand pistol sideways, if you're forgetful that it is a hand pistol. And actually, once you begin to get comfortable with it, it's the kind of item that you could naturally kind of forget. And plus, if you've seen all the movies, people wave guns around all the time. It's not the kind of thing that you should toy around with. So, everybody on the firing lines, I think, is left with a very strong impression that the guns only point that way, and that's the end of it. And to keep your finger off the trigger unless you're going to shoot. And those are the fundamentals. And once people kind of grasp that, everything else just sort of flows from there. And so I've got this young lady on the line, and she's having a great time. And in doing so, I've kind of left her with a better impression of the firearm community and the things we love. And hopefully, she likes it enough that she wants to come back. Now, I find out from a very credible source that the only thing that she could say on the way home was how she, really enjoyed, shooting hand pistol. And she really liked hand pistol. And so, of course, in a very short period of time, it comes to light that she's not really liking the idea, though, of a 22. She's more interested in a 9mm. And to hear that just made my heart sing, because I knew that we had her. We brought another one into the fold. There's another gun buyer, in there. And it happens right away. I mean, honestly, once the determination is made that your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance has picked out her favorite gun, guys, it is your mission to get that thing to her as soon as possible. All right, don't let her forget. Right, it's coming, and to get her out on the line with her own gun, enjoying herself. That's really the goal, the end game. I see so many guys, cowering almost in fear of, what's going to happen when they announce their next purchase. Don't tell my wife. My greatest fear is that my wife is going to sell all my guns when I die for the, cost that I told her. Certainly there are going to be moments when you're going to have to, fly your next purchase past your significant other. And I mean, even the most understanding of spouses may say, like, when's enough? But, I like this idea instead. Why don't we take them shooting? Why don't we take them shooting en masse and show them a good time? And you know what? And if you instruct them right and you make it fun for them, and you add a few, different elements, that we sprinkle in to keep people really focused on their game while still having a good time. We're thinking that we're going to have a ladies' night soon. Certainly, it's not a brand new idea. I think ladies' night, has been around a while, but I like the idea of running ladies' night. I like the idea of getting together with guys with their significant others that may be open to the idea of pulling the trigger, but have never really gone through with it yet. Bring them out. I'm going to make an announcement sometime in the not too distant future. We're going to pick a location somewhere in the Southern Ontario area. We're going to definitely get ourselves into a range, and we're going to run a ladies' night. And that means, guys, bring your fiancés, girlfriends, wives. Leave your ex-girlfriends at home, please. If you're thinking about bringing the one that you just had an argument with not that long ago, maybe leave her at home. Yeah, we don't bring her. I'm thinking instead, perhaps you bring your significant other that wants to maybe try it, and you're not sure maybe how to introduce her to it all. We can give a basic overview of what they can expect and some of the things that they can enjoy, and teach them properly. And, I like to call it mentoring. I don't want to call it instructional. I believe that anybody should be able to, receive instruction from somebody that knows what they're doing, hopefully. But I mean, just to mentor people through the process and to, guide their steps. I mean, if people are willing to learn, I love the idea of sharing with them the things that I've learned over time, in a very informal fashion. And what ends up happening is if we create more shooters this way, if every wife out there decided that she was going to take an interest in what her man took an interest in, I could tell you, you'd have a lot more luck getting him interested in the things you like. Take up shooting, ladies, and you know what? He might just go to the ballet with you. Who knows? Be a good trade-off. For that next gun that you want to buy in a really, really bad way, you may want to agree to take her to the theater. It might not be a bad idea. But watching, husbands and wives shopping in gun stores is always exciting. I've seen my fair share of the ladies purchasing guns. I had actually a solid pick for a young lady that was in one of the gun stores I had stopped in at for a little bit was Firearms Outlet Canada, and I was there for a day or two. And I really enjoyed, spending a little time there with those guys. I'm really looking forward to working with them in the future. Certainly we have some great ideas, Fred and I, and, it's looking to be a pretty interesting summer, I think, coming up. certainly for us here at the Canadian Gun Vault. But, where was I there? Ladies' Night. Yeah, not a new idea, but I definitely think one that we should explore a little more thoroughly. I like the idea of getting the ladies out. I mean, once you get the girls shopping for guns, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Certainly back to Firearms Outlet Canada, and the day that I was there, a young lady had a choice between two different guns, and one of the ones that I picked, and definitely something that I think you ladies might be interested in. Guys, you might like this too if you give it half a chance. For the guys out there that are shopping for their next favorite gun, and maybe the one that their wife might enjoy shooting, take a look at the Glock 43. It's a little 9mm slimline sort of Glock, like a mini Glock, and it's really cool. They come with these Canadian-length barrels that stick out beyond the slide and frame. If you can get past a couple inches of silver barrel sticking out, I mean, it really actually does kind of look cool. If you let it grow on you a little bit. But this gun is so slim and so small, and if it runs at all like it's 9mm, but if it runs at all like any other Glocks, thing's gonna run like a top and will probably take a beating. Definitely one of those guns that I think that people should take a look at to fit their wives' hands. It's the correct size, and with the just make sure when you pick it up you have the magazine in the gun, ladies, because there's this little groove that your pinky finger sits in. Otherwise, if the magazine's gone, you're basically holding on to the gun with two fingers. Your trigger finger's on the frame and your thumb's wrapped around the back strap, but I mean, it's not a lot to hold on to. Make sure when you hold it in your hand that you actually have the magazine in place. It's really a comfortable, cool little gun, and certainly one that I would recommend to people. So what else we got on? Well, this week, certainly I've got an opportunity to speak to Dean from the Select Shooting Supplies. Really looking forward to working with him as well. He's out in Cambridge and got a really nice, tiny little store. But it's definitely got a lot of what you need there. You can tell that Dean's a shooter. He doesn't mess around with too much fluff. And he makes good use of his space, and you don't feel claustrophobic in the store, and he's got a good selection. I'm liking what he's got going on there. So definitely check out Select Shooting Supplies, out in Cambridge. Great shop, good staff. Love the little lady in there, right? She's wonderful to deal with. The selection. Dean's got some interesting gear. There's no question at all. He's got a little taste of everything in there that I think people would enjoy. His handgun selection, it could be bigger, but you know what though? Hey, everybody starts someplace, and he's got the right stuff. There's no question that he's not monkeying around again with the fluff. So if you're looking for a good deal on your next favorite firearm purchase, definitely have a look at going down there. Going to be spending some time at Firearms Outlet Canada. I've agreed to meet Fred for a little bit of conversation. Definitely things are happening for us here at the Canadian Gun Vault. I think that a lot of people are seeing that now. Love you guys for listening. I can't thank you enough. And, getting down to see Fred is something that I've been meaning to do for a while. Fred's got a range being built in a new storefront connected to the old one, and they're going to migrate over to the new store. Looks good. I've seen some pictures. I'm really looking forward to getting down there sometime this week and speaking to Fred and taking a look for myself. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for this week's episode of Canadian Gun Vault's Behind the Vault Door. Hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, Canada, shoot straight, stay safe.